Justin Trudeau announces his resignation as Liberal leader and in the months ahead as Prime Minister. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Trudeau made the announcement outside his Rideau Cottage home in Ottawa this morning. He also prorogued Parliament, putting all government work on pause until March 24th. CTV's Mike LeCouture has more on the monumental moment and what led to it.
A source close to the Prime Minister tells CTV News Justin Trudeau came to this decision over the last few days. He told his kids over dinner last night and then the rest of the world this morning.
My friends, as you all know, I'm a fighter.
He says he never backs away from a battle, but Justin Trudeau admitted with a growing caucus revolt, it was time to go for the good of the party.
And it has become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election.
Those internal battles started a year ago when Liberal MPs began calling for a change in leadership. The very public departure of Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland stung and seemed to change his calculation that he could win a fourth mandate.
Recognizing that removing me from the equation as the leader who will fight the next election for the Liberal Party should also decrease the level of polarization that we're seeing right now.
By proroguing Parliament until March 24th, Trudeau has bought the Liberal Party a few months to choose his successor. And opposition parties are ruling out deals to keep the Liberals in power beyond then, regardless of who becomes the new leader.
There is no possible way for this party to become something else in a few weeks. So we are facing the same people with the same values, the same ideology. We have to go in elections.
There will be a vote of confidence. New Democrats will be voting against this government for an election where Canadians will have a choice.
The Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre didn't take questions from journalists, only posting this video on social media, taking a swipe at Liberal leadership hopefuls.
They want to protect their pensions and paycheck by sweeping their hated leader under the rug months before an election to trick you and then do it all over again.
Asked if he believes another Liberal leader could beat Poilievre in an election, Trudeau simply said, absolutely yes. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Local Liberal MPs are reacting to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's resignation announcement. Patty Hajdu and Marcus Pawlowski both say they wish Trudeau well, but Pawlowski admits the move should improve the Liberals' chances in the next election. Vasilios Bellos reports.
While many were expecting the move, the announcement from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that he'll be stepping down still sent a shockwave across our nation, including right here in northwestern Ontario. Thunder Bay Rainy River MP Marcus Pawlowski praised the work Trudeau has done, but believed it was time for a change at the top.
I think a lot of our policies sell fairly well. It's really been the leader. It's not been the message. It's been the messenger. And that's been the problem. And here we will have a new leadership. And I know that the opposition, and particularly Pierre Poilievre, is going to want the smell of Trudeau to hang heavily on whoever the new leader is.
Well, there's already some names being thrown out of who may run for the leadership of the Liberal Party. Pawlowski wouldn't yet put his support behind anyone. Regardless, Pawlowski believes the future leader will bring the party back to its centrist roots.
Different advisors, different ministers, a whole different bunch of people with a new orientation. And I think people have clearly spoken in Thunder Bay and across Canada that they're tired of our present leadership, and that's going to be changed.
Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Hajdu was not available for an interview, but provided a statement saying, "I wish Justin and his family the best as they begin this next chapter. Through 4 cabinet appointments, I have had the extraordinary opportunity to serve my community and country. I am grateful to Prime Minister Trudeau for seeing my passion for equity and putting it to good use for Canadians." Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Thunder Bay residents are also reacting to the resignation announcement. We spoke with some local citizens today to get their thoughts on Trudeau's decision to call it quits. Many say they expected it.
I'm not surprised that it happened, and in some way I'm happy that it happened, because we've got to get this chaos, I guess, that's going around. resolved. I liked Trudeau at first. I still wish he had not sort of stumbled all the way around.
It's about time. He's waited way far too long to make this announcement. The only problem I see with it is that he's still going to stay on as the Prime Minister until the new person is chosen, and that really will make it hard to start a change, to start some kind of improvement, to get our country working and get the government working again. You know, it's been a disaster.
Trudeau resigning now, that takes a lot of courage, you know, especially when you're in power. He was there for what, 9-10 years? You know, so it must be really hard. That's like Biden deciding to resign.
He's been in a long time, and I think we need some new blood, new faces, and a better perspective on things, because it's not very good right now. No. And as a senior, I am feeling the tight pinch. So, and you can't keep giving away money the way he's been doing. And that's not good. It's time. Everybody has a time frame, and I think it's his time. He needs to step down and give some new blood, new ideas, and that. And hopefully it works.
Well, turning to municipal politics now, Thunder Bay Mayor Ken Boshkoff will deliver his State of the City address at tonight's council meeting. It'll be council's first meeting of the new year. Boshkoff will outline some of the accomplishments, challenges, and opportunities that arose in 2024. The mayor will then shift focus and look ahead at some of the goals for the coming year. The theme of the address is building on strength, planning for growth. Well, there's concern from Ontario college students today as the union representing Ontario's college faculties is now in an official strike position and could hit the picket line as soon as Thursday. CTV's Beth McDonnell is following the story.
At George Brown College downtown, students are back in class for a new semester. But with the threat of a faculty strike, it's not clear how long it will last.
It really sucks.
Really worried because, you know, I'm already 24. I just want to proceed with my education.
Without a collective agreement since September, OPSU, the union representing about 15,000 professors, librarians, and counselors at Ontario's 24 colleges, delivered its 5-day strike notice Friday, which means students could be out of the classroom on Thursday.
But I wouldn't be too happy about it. I would be wanting to go to school, especially for my program, since it's more of like an in-person thing.
Especially considering the fact that it doesn't seem super likely that it won't be a strike. So it's just a concern about trying to get my education done as efficiently as possible.
At the Sheraton Hotel, mediation talks are underway between the union and the College Employer Council, the bargaining unit for the colleges. It says faculty want to reduce hours in the classroom and member demands exceed $1 billion, which would lead to a 55% increase in costs, and is disappointed with the escalation ahead of the talks.
This is to add weight to the mediation. The employer has been very clear that they are unwilling to even consider any of faculty's key issues around, precarity. We have a workload that hasn't changed in 40 years, despite things like the invention of the internet.
Another contentious issue is around the numbers of international students. Colleges say the cut from the new federal cap is significant, while the union says enrollments were used to fund an already underfunded system. Students are hoping for a swift resolution.
That would actually affect my grades. It would affect the way I'm about to study and be taught. That would also affect the crunch time. It would be a bummer. It would be a real bummer.
Mediation between the two sides is expected to continue through Tuesday. If there is a strike, it's not known if we'll see members on the picket line or a work-to-rule scenario. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Disability advocates say Ontario has fallen far short of a pledge made 20 years ago to make the province fully accessible. CTV's Mike Walker has more on their calls for change.
Brian Ellison has used a wheelchair since 2016 and says he constantly faces barriers wherever he goes.
It makes me feel I'm like a second-class citizen.
He says many businesses, even some healthcare facilities he attends, have not taken the necessary steps to improve accessibility.
Services that people take for granted that should be accessible. I think you can get in there. Oh, wait a minute, you can't.
The ayes are 89, the nays are 0.
In 2005, the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act was unanimously approved at Queen's Park with the intent of Ontario becoming fully accessible by 2025. That date is here, and advocates say the province is nowhere near that goal.
People with disabilities woke up to a province that is still replete with soul-crushing barriers.
The act was meant to develop, implement, and enforce accessibility standards covering everything from transit improvements to customer service and building design.
No government established a comprehensive beginning-to-end multi-year plan with deadlines.
Advocates raising concerns over schools.
There are not enough teaching and support staff available who are trained to teach all learners. Many, if not most Ontario schools, lack physical accessibility.
And a lack of accessible housing.
Some people with disabilities are having to crawl around their apartment because they can't get their wheelchair in the door. Parents are struggling to carry teenagers up and down stairs because they can't find an accessible house.
The province says it's meeting standards and notes changes to the building code that encompasses school upgrades as well as new and retrofitted hospitals and long-term care facilities. A spokesperson for the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility stating this builds on the province's historic spending in infrastructure, including public transit investments for the Ontario Line, Northland, and funding for TTC new subways and streetcars, along with Go Transit, Go Trains, Go Buses, and Go Stations, plus over 2,200 new accessible buses being delivered province-wide. Advocates say bold new action is needed to better support 2.9 million Ontarians with disabilities.
We need the government to enact all the enforceable accessibility standards.
They're now pressing each party leader to commit to fulfilling the Act's standards, providing a comprehensive list of recommendations on how to achieve that. Mike Walker, CTV News.
The festive ride season may be over, but Thunder Bay Police continue to find and arrest impaired drivers around the city. Since January 1st, 7 motorists, all of them male, have been charged with driving while impaired by drugs or alcohol. One of the recent arrests involved a 17-year-old who rolled his vehicle on 106th Street near Mission Island Marsh. The youth was charged with impaired driving, dangerous driving, having no insurance, and misusing license plates. The vehicle was impounded and his driver's license was suspended. Another driver is a 42-year-old man who was also charged with drug impairment in September. He's now facing a second charge for that same offense. The RFDA may have to shift its funding strategy in the wake of dwindling charitable donations. The recent downturn, coupled with the rising number of people who need help accessing food, is stretching the organization very thin. Justin Hardy has the story.
Individual financial donations are down nearly 30%, while corporate financial donations are down 60%, according to the RFDA's year-end report. Local food donations are also down 27%, and food donated by local businesses is down 31%, with a 30% increase over the last 2 years of people accessing food banks and meal programs. RFDA Executive Director Volker Krom says the organization doesn't have the stockpile needed for the coming months.
That is really frightening because that tells me that our donor base either can't afford it or they're giving in other ways, which is all right. But the problem is then we have to find ways of remediating the shortfall coming the 2025, make up new strategies for how do we replace the funds that we're short or the food that we're short.
Without the food or financial donations coming in, the RFDA will need to transition to a different model of outsourcing bulk food from outside of Northwestern Ontario. Krom says they're looking for bulk wherever they can across the country.
We've invested in freezers and processing facilities here so that we brought in 8,000 kilograms of fish, whole fish. So that's a major shift in our ability to be able to distribute healthy food. But also we're going to looking for sourcing more vegetables and other foods that may exist in various places of Canada so that we can bring it in and we can distribute it to offset the local shortfall.
To help with the shortfall, Krom is asking donors to take advantage of the charitable tax deduction ahead of the tax season. The RFDA might also take a look at doing a 50-50 draw as a way to prevent scaling back their food programs. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
The Pace Warming Center on Victoria Avenue was a very busy place today as the temperatures continue to dip well below freezing. A recent funding boost from the DSAB has allowed the facility to extend its hours. Pace officials say that'll be crucial this week as the cold weather continues. Brendan Miller reports.
With the mercury dropping to -20 on Monday morning and a wind chill of -28, the Pace Warming Center is an essential service for more vulnerable people of Thunder Bay. Since 2019, the doors have been open on Victoria Avenue, welcoming anyone who's in need of a warm place to stay. Until this year, their hours of operation were 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. Now, however, they can open at 7:30 in the morning and stay open until 8 p.m. on weekdays. Pace Executive Director Georgina McKinnon speaks about the number of people that visit on a daily basis.
Goodness, we're probably up to minimum 150 people a day coming in at least 3 or 4 times each throughout the day. With the drop in temperatures, it's increased significantly. Before that, we were experiencing between 120 people a day coming in multiple times, but it's gone up a lot.
Pace also offers food for their visitors and blankets and jackets for those who need them in the frigid temperatures of Thunder Bay. One client, Timothy Lagarde, who's been a client for 2 years, enjoys both the warmth of the center, the people, and some added benefits.
To help people out, it's really good. I come here for a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and then lunchtime probably about a good meal. The people, the surroundings, some people when they're actually sober, they're all right, Good people. We got free TV, and people can kick it. Pretty good.
We're more than just a drop-in center. Pace offers programming. We have an advocacy coordinator here that sets people up with other organizations that they could get help from. We have an education coordinator that sets up different training and education sessions. We do mental health. We do some mindfulness. We have Indigenous programming that we do on a weekly basis. So we're more than just a drop-in center. We are crazy busy.
With the cold snap continuing for the next few days, Pace officials predict that the warming center will remain very busy. In addition to their new weekday hours, Pace is open from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. on weekends, depending on the weather. Brendan Miller, TBT News.
Local ice racers made some final preparations over the weekend as the Thunder Bay Auto Sport Club's ice racing season is right around the corner. Organizers and drivers are eager to get back on Mission Bay after last year's races were canceled. Jessica Clement brings us the details.
Thunder Bay Auto Sport Club members were doing their final inspections on Saturday to make sure their cars were in tip-top shape for the ice racing season.
We do a tech inspection on all of the vehicles to make sure that all of their safety equipment is up to date, that the various parts on the mechanical side of the vehicle, that exhaust is properly secured, windshield wipers work, all the lights are functional. When we go to start the first race, we know that all the cars have been looked at, they're up to date, and that there will be no safety issues is really what we're concerned about.
Club President Gary Adamko notes 20 cars in total will be participating in this year's races, 10 in the rubber to ice category and 10 in the studded category. He notes drivers are especially excited to race this season, as last year's season had to be completely canceled due to warm weather and unsafe ice conditions. This year, the ice is in much better shape.
We've already been out 2 or 3 times doing ice measurements, and we're off by about a half an inch right now. And we know that with this cold weather that we've been experiencing, it'll gain that additional half an inch to an inch easily, and so we'll be able to run on the 12th of January.
The season starts on the 12th and will take place every Sunday at Mission Bay, with the final set of races on March 9th. Corey Dumoulin is eager to start and was one of the drivers getting his car inspected at Central Auto Parts over the weekend.
Today we just got it up on the rack, went through it, made sure everything was good and up to spec. All our belts and everything's just within regulation and good for the season. Just hoping we get a good full season and good weather and just get started as soon as we can.
More information about this year's ice racing season can be found on the Thunder Bay Auto Sport Club's website and social media pages. Jessica Clement, TBT News.